There is controversy brewing in the sports card industry today over the recent comments from two industry leaders about shill bidding. Is it okay to defensively bid on your own cards when they're at auction to ensure they don't sell for too low? And is it okay to bid on your friends' cards when they're at auction to ensure that they don't go for too low of a price? This is a controversial topic, and the comments might surprise you. We're going to debate right now. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode of Cards on the Table. And Teapot and Ryan, we've got a little bit of controversy brewing right now. Kind of a big topic we got to talk about today. Are you ready to jump in on this?
Yeah, what did Rudy say?
What did Rudy say?
I was born ready.
All right. Okay. Well, I hope you're ready because this one is going to elicit a lot of feedback and reaction from our viewers out there. There's a lot of people already talking about this. And here's the background on this. So Patrick Ryan, he's a big collector. We've had him on Sports Card Investor before. He's has an awesome collection, an awesome collector. We did a big profile of his collection. I like Patrick a lot. He got himself into a little bit of controversy recently. And the background on this is Patrick auctions a lot of items. And I know this because he is involved heavily in the buying and selling of sports cards. He sold us at Cards HQ a bunch of cards before I went to his house when we filmed the collection tour with him. He's constantly selling and buying boatloads of cards. So he's got a lot of stuff out at auction. He created controversy recently when he posted a screenshot of several of his items that were out at auction, encouraging people to bid on them. But one of those items that he posted showed that he had already bid on the item.
It said, "You've been outbid."
Says you've been outbid on his own item.
Right.
Well, you're not supposed to bid on your own items, or at least I didn't think you were supposed to bid on your own items on auction. Now, not everybody agrees with that, which we're going to talk about, but he had done this, so some people called him out for shill bidding. Now he acknowledged the mistake, and his explanation was that he at first didn't even realize it was his own auction, his own item, because he had sent it through a consignment service, and then that consignment service, and he buys and sells so many items, and he sent a bunch to a consignment service, and the consignment service sent some of these to auction. He didn't even realize at first he was bidding on his own item, then he realized it and figured it out. That was the explanation. So because this created some controversy, he decided to go on Dr. James Beckett's Sports Card Insights podcast, a great podcast. We have a ton of respect here for Dr. Beckett and everything the godfather of our industry in many, many ways. I've had the honor of being on his podcast before, and I've just always respected Dr. Beckett from the day that I bought my first Beckett price guide when I was probably, an 8 or 9 year old kid going back decades and decades ago, right? Just absolute godfather of the industry. Patrick Ryan goes on his podcast, and the two of them have an extended discussion about what happened, but then it became a broader discussion about what is and is not shill bidding and the nuances of shill bidding and the ethics and the legality and the gray area. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think, and I'm still not sure that I think, that there is much gray area. I thought shill bidding was pretty much a black and white thing. Don't bid on your own items. That's wrong.
Yep.
Well, they don't necessarily see it that way. Because during their podcast, they talked about the difference between offensive shill bidding, which is where you're bidding on an item to drive the price up above comps with no intention of paying if you win. Just simply trying to drive the price up above comps to essentially kind of manipulate the market and get yourself more money. They agree that's wrong. I think everybody agrees that's wrong. Every auction house prohibits that. That's not right, and it's illegal. You can't shill bid. You can't offensively do this. But they drew a line and said there's a different type of shill bidding called defensive shill bidding. Defensive shill bidding is where if you're bidding on your own item or maybe a friend's item, and you're bidding it up to kind of a minimum point, almost a reserve for yourself, where if the item were to sell for that point, you would want to buy it back. You would be willing to pay the auction fees, the buyer's premium, or whatever the auction fees are going to be, because at that price point you want the item back. So your intent is to pay. Your intent is to say, hey, if it's not going to go for above this, just give me the item back and I'll pay all the fees. That, in their opinion, is defensive shill bidding, and generally they feel like that's okay. Dr. Beckett, Patrick Ryan generally feel like that has a place in the hobby, defensive shill bidding. I was a little bit surprised by that take. I honestly, it was the first I had ever really heard a distinction between offensive shill bidding and defensive shill bidding. There is clearly some nuance there. They think there's a lot of nuance. Interesting. The conversation progressed, and then they started talking about situations where there may be a friend's cards at auction. And, you as a bidder may bid on your friend's cards, maybe even encouraged by your friend to do so, in order to protect their cards from going below a certain level. So if you've got cards at auction, Teapot, you call me up and you say, hey, I've got this great Jordan card at auction. It's currently at $5,000 below market value and the auction ends tonight. Would you consider bidding on the card to get it up towards closer to market value? Now, once again, in their opinion, whether that should be okay or not comes down to intention. If I'm bidding on your card with just to manipulate the value with no intention of paying for it and just trying to get it up there, then that, I think they would agree, is bad. Everyone should agree that is bad.
I hope so.
But if I'm bidding on your card because it's at a really low price, and if I win, I will pay for the card because I want the card, because I'm happy to buy the card at that price. They said in their discussion that this is a common practice that takes place in the industry, and Patrick talked about how he does this routinely with other friends. A little bit of gray area here, a lot of gray area here. Some may see all of this as completely over the line and shady and practices that should never occur. Others may see this as, no, it's reasonable. And if you're willing to pay for the auction, then what does it matter? Because you're willing to buy it, whether it's your own item, whether it's a friend's item, you're willing to buy it. And as long as you have the right intent, which is I'm willing to pay, then it's okay to do. Teapot, where do you stand on these items?
I think objectively, both of these things are shill bidding, and they're calling it defensive shill bidding. It's shill bidding, and objectively, I think it's wrong. There's other ways around this. Set a reserve. Okay, you understand that the psychology of reserve prices sometimes discourages bids in the first place. Set a minimum bid increment. Both of these things are very common on eBay, where you see that somebody lists, a $2,000 card at a minimum bid of $1,800. And then they see what, they roll the dice and see.
And not every, like if you're going through, I will say, if you're going through a consignor, a lot of consignors won't let you do that. There's some auction houses that won't let you do that. So it's not always a universal solution. But I generally agree with your setting.
They'll let you set reserves a lot of times, even if it's a hidden reserve that it just will say reserve not met. There's options for that. And I think if you're a high enough end consignor, you have that conversation with the auction house. They're probably going to find a way to work with you because they want your business. What I'll say is intention does matter to an extent in a lot of things in life. If I accidentally get into a car accident, as it's called, it's not wrong. But if I'm at fault, there's still a consequence for it. I'm going to get a ticket. Something's going to happen. It doesn't mean it's wrong. That was your intention. If I intentionally ram my car into somebody out of road rage, that's wrong. That's an objective wrong. In shill bidding, I would say, objectively speaking, offensive is wrong, defensive is wrong. The caveat here and the distinction in the conversation that both of these people, Dr. Beckett and Patrick, were having very openly is that they don't see it that way. They don't believe there's anything wrong about this whole process, whether they're bidding on their own items or somebody else. So that's where I think the conversation I think there needs to be more conversation around it. They obviously agree with one another. Okay, how do we actually get this into a more meaningful public forum where there's actually debate happening around this? I will say a lot of the conversation between the two of them centered around Dr. Beckett trying to defend Patrick's character as somebody who knows him really well and has known him for a long time, and saying, I know, Patrick, you're not a bad guy, and there are bad guys out there. You're not one of them. And so he was saying, like, let's not misconstrue this, put the spotlight on the bad actors, not on the good ones. But that's coming from somebody who knows Patrick really well and believes in his character. The rest of the hobby doesn't, they just know Patrick from Instagram or, maybe from some of our videos. They don't know as much about that. And I would say this is very often where I encourage people in the hobby to take a holistic view. We live in what we, call a cancel culture today, where you say or do one thing wrong, intentionally or otherwise, and you're just done. You're out. Other people have literally been run out of the hobby and canceled for this exact topic, where they said, I was going to buy my own item if it sold to me because I would rather eat the fees than take a huge haircut on the price. And they got canceled completely out of the hobby. So I found it shocking, really shocking when I heard this interview, when I saw Neo's video, and then I went and listened to both parts of the interview, just because I had never heard of anybody ever, anywhere saying that this is okay. So I think there needs to be a bigger conversation. Like, bring some people on who would argue on the side of, like, guys, can't you see how bad this is for the hobby? You're basically being victimized as a third-party bidder who's trying to get a card and hoping for a deal, and then the thing doesn't go to where you would think it is. So I would say with a lot of confidence that the vast majority of the people in the hobby say this is wrong. And for me, it just raises a lot of red flags about comps, about auctions, especially in the high-end market. It would really give me pause if I'm going after big items.
What about the bidding on your friends' items? Because that's kind of a layer.
I see it as the same thing.
I'm with you. By the way, I'm aligned with you. Bidding on your own items, even if it's defensive, to use their term, I don't think that should be permitted. And I don't think it is permitted. I think most auction houses' terms of service are pretty clear that you cannot bid on your own items.
Right.
There's no distinction between bidding offensively and bidding defensively. It's just don't bid on your own items.
So they said there's some states where it's allowed, like, legally, and that some auction houses in those states, like in Arizona, allow it. It's not against their terms. When it comes to bidding on your friend's items, I just don't see it any differently. Now, let's say, Jeff, you were auctioning, some Grant Hill card, and you put it up for auction, and then I come into your office and I'm like, oh, I just found this Grant Hill up for auction that I've been after for a while, and you're like, oh shoot, that was mine. I would have just worked out a deal with you, but now it's up, and I start bidding on it legitimately because I want the card. That's a totally different story. But if you're like, hey, Teapot, I got this Grant Hill and it's not going by. I know you already have one, but, like, can you jack that up for me? No, you just don't do that. The best comparison I could make here, and I don't want to give it over to Ryan, but, like, let's say you did sell a card on eBay, on auction, and it went for 40% below what you expected and below the recent comps, and you're just like, crap, what the heck happened there?
That happens sometimes.
It happens all the time.
It happens. It's the nature of sending something to auction.
Yes. So let's say, in order to avoid negative feedback, I recognize that the person actually that I'm shipping it to lives in Marietta, where I live. So I mail it, and then I follow the tracking, and I go into the neighborhood, and I see the mail driver going around, and I steal it out of the mailbox, and it shows as delivered, and obviously the buyer is going to go, I never got this card, and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, USPS sucks. Let me give you a full refund. Is that okay? No, that's basically the same exact thing. You just bought your own card back and ate the fee. It's literally no different, and that's a felony if you steal something from a mailbox. So
I'm losing you there.
Yeah. It's the same.
Yeah, that was maybe a little. We maybe took things a little step too far. Okay, but I get the premise. No, your premise. It may be better stated as, which I see happen because you see these people get called out on social media. I see it better stated as a seller puts a card out for auction on eBay. Somebody wins the auction at a price a lot lower than what the seller was expecting the thing to go. So then the seller cancels it. The seller says, "Oh, I lost the card," or, "Oh, you know what? I no longer, the card got damaged." Or, "Oh, you know what? I ended up selling the card yesterday. I forgot to cancel the auction," or whatever. And so then as the seller, you're like, as the buyer, you're like, what the heck? I won this card. I got a good deal on it. Maybe I even paid, but now it's been refunded. And that does happen.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, and it gets, as the buyer, that's real annoying. It's happened to me before. It's happened to me multiple times before where I bought a card on eBay and I've been really excited. I got a great deal on that card. It's a card I really wanted. I just got it for 22% below the last comp. This is an awesome, and then, guess what? It never ships. The item gets canceled.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. All right, Ryan, what is your thought on this?
The first thing I thought of is, what if you did this? I think the hobby internet would break.
Oh my
overnight.
God, they would destroy me.
I thought about
Can you believe that?
Yes.
They would destroy.
Yeah.
I can say from day one, I like that concept of like bidding on your own item, like that would be such a killer for me in the position I'm in if I were to have ever done that or ever do that. Like I have been scared about that aspect of like, God forbid, because I do this, by the way, I send stuff to consignment all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Just, I got stuff out there through DC Sports. I used to use Probstein a lot when he was on eBay and all these different consigners. Yeah, that would just be an absolute like death nail. Yes.
I woke up from a nightmare this morning to that. I'm not kidding that you had done this, and I was like, well, now what do I do?
I assure you, I never have and never will. Good. So don't worry about that. Good. But
with that reaction from both egos, that tells me that they're both wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think there's two sides of the ball on shilling, offensive and defense. I think that's made up terms. And one of the things they mentioned was the listing being wrong. DC Sports lets you change it. Golden lets you change it. I don't think that was a good excuse. But like you said, like Jeff had a Grant Hill. Well, Jeff has an item that my wife has been talking about for months. It's the Taylor Swift business card.
Yes, I do.
There's no sales on that.
No.
There's hard to comp. You tell me that you're putting it on Golden Auctions, I'm going to bid on it because I want that in my collection.
Yeah. Right.
But that's different than you telling me I got the Will Greer NFL Shield.
Which I also do. I have that card too. You don't want that one?
And if you told me to bid on that, that's when it's drawing that line of in the sand.
Yeah. That would be a bit of a problem. If you were bidding my Will Greer NFL Shield up to like $3,000, that could be a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
we could have an issue.
Yeah.
Here's what's tough for me about this one. Like, I think a very easy line of ethics when it comes to dealing in sports cards or anything in life is if whatever you are currently doing at this moment, you would not want other people to know about, chances are it's probably not the right thing for you to be doing. But the crazy thing in this situation is I would have assumed that like bidding on your own card defensively or telling your friends to bid on your own card would be an activity that I'm sure a lot of people probably do. I'm sure that actually happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I would think it would be an activity that if you were involved in that, you would not want other people to know about it because you would be.
They went on a podcast and talked about it.
But that's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
So clearly, that's what kind of surprises me here. Is this is like, I assumed that this was something that happened often in the dark. At night in the closed circles. And, I assume this went on a lot in the industry, but that it was always a cloak and dagger, But this is Patrick Ryan and Dr. Beckett are two very prominent, respected voices in the hobby saying that there is validity to these activities. And it surprised me.
Yeah.
It surprised me that they said it. I think that I don't understand their viewpoint on the defensive shill bidding. I think that bidding on your own item is clearly wrong, in my opinion, no matter what your intent and purpose is.
Yeah.
Just don't bid on your own stuff.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that. I think that's pretty black and white, in my opinion. Obviously not in everybody's opinion, but in my opinion.
Yeah.
Bidding on friend stuff, I do think that gets into a little bit more of a nuance, and I think the nuance, as both of you explained, is are you bidding on it? Are you bidding on something that like somebody says, hey, I just put this to auction if you're interested, and you are legitimately interested and you're like, oh, heck yeah, I want that item, I will bid on that, but you're bidding on it because you want the item out of personal excitement, not because you're trying to establish a base minimum price or, make sure it doesn't sell for too cheap or that all feels wrong to me.
I think the reason I was so shocked by this wasn't because somebody was saying this and creating this term of defensive shill bidding. It's because of who it was.
Yeah.
Just really caught me off guard, especially Dr. Beckett. And that's no shade at Patrick, but Dr. Beckett is like on most people's like Mount Rushmore of like untouchable hobby figures of like integrity and character. And this just isn't something that most people would agree with. At the end of the day, it's the golden rule. Do unto others as you want them to do. I don't want somebody jacking up bids on their own cards to make me pay for more money than what the true second highest bidder on that card would be willing to pay. The moment you put your card on auction, it's no longer yours, and you shouldn't be able to touch it, So that's kind of my opinion of it.
It's surprising. And once again, I have tremendous respect for Dr. Beckett. I have a lot of respect for Patrick Ryan and what they have both built in different ways, right? We have a difference in opinion on this, and I think it's, as you said, I think it's important that it's discussed. And clearly they think so too. Like they're not shy about their opinion. They went on to a podcast and talked about their opinion. So here we are on ours talking about our opinion. And I think it would be nice though if there was more alignment.
Yeah.
Maybe rules, maybe, just alignment around this topic.
I'd love to hear more conversation.
I agree. I'm sure we will. I'm
Yep.
sure we will. All right, let's switch to a little bit more of a fun thing. We're going to rip 3 Arena Club packs. We're going value today. We're going for the gold packs. These are value packs, less expensive packs, packs that are frankly easier for you to get into. If you want to rip one of your own, promo code SCI gets you 20% off any Arena Club slab pack. Gentlemen, let's rip a couple of these gold packs here. Teapot, let's start with you. What sport did you do?
I did basketball.
All right, what did we do here? What did we get here?
Ooh, SGA. I love me some SGA.
It's an SGA rookie card.
SGA.
PSA 10. There you go, a little college throwback to University of Kentucky.
People call him a foul merchant, and maybe they're not totally wrong, but he averaged the same number of free throws as Kobe. Does anybody ever say that about Kobe?
No. It's interesting.
Know your stats.
I don't think he's got a ring. I doubt he cares what people are saying about his fouls. What did you get here, Ryan? Let's see what Ryan got.
What do we got?
Oh, a little
cool.
Justin Jefferson. Not rookie, but Red Wave PSA 10.
A little division rival for me and Teapot.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
You're good at that.
You don't like that guy. You always pull your Bears rivals. All right. I did basketball as well. Basketball gold pack. Who did I get here?
Halliburton.
All right.
Wow.
Okay.
Courtside.
I like this card. You know why? Because that card right now, I'm getting in kind of at a low point. He's injured, unfortunately, but we're going to get him back at some future point in time, and he's going to be as great as he was last season, where he was absolutely incredible. And when he returns, that card's going to go up and up in the market. So that one I'm going to park away in my Arena Club collection for a little while, and then maybe do some trade deals with people down the road on that card when he's back healthy again. Okay, guys, if you want to get your own Arena Club slab packs at any value level, you can use promo code SCI for 20% off your first purchase at Arena Club. Download the Arena Club app or go to arenaclub.com, promo code SCI, 20% off. All right, guys, let's hop into our next story. I remember a few years ago when we had all this retail craziness. I mean, especially if you go back to the pandemic and people were like rushing retail stores and tracking down the people that were stocking, sports product on the shelves and Pokemon product on the shelves, and Target had incidences and they had to put up limits on what people could buy and all this stuff. Are we there again? Because it's kind of starting to feel like we're there again a little bit. And Walmart just recently announced that they are implementing new limits on trading card purchases at Walmart stores. So we're back in that cycle again with a big box retailer pushing this out. Actually went into effect, I think yesterday. Yes, yesterday in fact, where Walmart is now limiting nationally. Customers can buy a maximum of 5 packs or boxes per visit. This applies to both in-store and online. They've actually reset their point of sale systems. They put programming in their point of sale systems. So if you go to checkout and you have more than 5 trading card packs or boxes in your little shopping cart, they won't let you check out. The checkout system will alert, the person like, nope, you bought too much. This feels to me like you go to a bar and the bartender cuts you off. He was like, "You're cutting you off. What are you doing? You can't have more than 5 drinks here. What are you doing? You're getting, they get a little crazy here." Teapot, what does this mean for the industry as a whole? Is this healthy? Does this ensure that actual collectors and fans maybe get more of these cards? Maybe this actually cuts down on flipping, or is this just chaos and craziness that this type of thing would need to occur right now?
This means if I catch you with more than 5 boxes, I'm taking your car keys. That's what that means.
Cut me off.
Look, these shops try to do this all the time with all kinds of things, whether it's Black Friday or whatever, any just promos. They'll put limit 5 on stuff at Costco or whatever. I mean, what do? You just go there with a friend or your significant other or anybody else, and you both go in and you go.
Oh, wait, now hold on. Now you just got mad about people using friends to buy cards in the last story.
This. I never buy this stuff.
Oh boy! Don't post that. Don't post that on Instagram.
I'm saying, yeah.
This is why
people don't know about my other 5 with someone. No, just kidding. No, what I'm saying, this is what people do. I'm not saying this is what I do.
Oh, okay.
Like it's an easy workaround if you're really trying to go scalp and get all this stuff. The one thing I think this helps curb at this particular point in time is the people taking every single Pokemon thing off the shelf and loading their carts. I literally just saw an Instagram reel 2 days ago of some people almost getting into a fight, and they had those little tins that have a couple packs in them. And this guy was like, I just want to buy these 3 tins. And this guy just raked his entire shopping cart full of them. And then he was at the checkout. And this is where it dovetails into maybe the last conversation, is that he was calling the store manager over and accusing him of being friends with the guy who had cleared out the cart, which I am 100% positive I know for a fact happens. You're there. Oh, I can go get 300% margin on this. Hey, Joe, come on over. They're about to drop the Pokemon on the shelf. Go clear it out. I'll make sure you're the first one in line there. Like, that happens. So this helps against that, because now if they put all the Pokemon out that is nowhere to be found unless you happen to be there when they're stocking, some people could potentially get some. But if they don't, people are going to do this. They're going to take their 5 packs or boxes. They're going to go out to the car. They're going to come back in. They're going to get 5 more and go through one of the lanes, checkouts. They're going to go back through another one. They're going to put on their funny glasses and the mustache and come back in and put their hood up and do all the things. The weird thing is my Walmart out by where I live is overflowing loaded with retail sports stuff. Like, overflowing. It's always overstocked, and it seems like it's stale. I found out the Walmart down the road from us here.
Do they have Pokemon though, or are they out of Pokemon?
This is what I'm saying. There's no Pokemon. Okay. The Walmart down the road from here, where we've gone twice for a couple of like retail versus hobby videos for market movers, is just no longer selling cards at all. None. They got rid of them. They said there was too much theft happening and they're done. So like, I don't know. There's got to be other ways around this, but I guess kudos. Like, it doesn't hurt anything. I'm glad they're doing this, to be honest. And maybe that'll help a few more people get their hands on Pokemon. Maybe.
All right. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, at the end of the day, Walmart, Target, whether it's Dick's Sporting Goods, Best Buy, it's, getting those products into the collector's hands and getting them like an entry level, an enter to the hobby. They can open the boxes. They're not going to pull the massive hits, but it'll get them wanting more, coming to Cards HQ and wanting some hobby boxes, chasing some autos. But like Teapot said, the sports cards have kind of been overrun, but a lot of it's been like unlicensed Topps Chrome football, unlicensed basketball. But now we're hitting that stage. We have licensed Topps. I was just at my Target 3 days ago, and then I was there yesterday, and the Topps basketball is selling out. So we're back. I think we're gonna have this problem with sports cards coming up soon too. Pokemon's always cleared out, but I think people will start becoming friends with the cashiers and do multiple transactions.
I'm sure. They have those vending machines at like Kroger and other places for Pokemon
always
cards. Always sold out. How long before we start seeing TSA facial recognition embedded into them so you can get your limit of 5 packs and move on? It's not a bad idea. I don't know.
What a world, man! What a world. Well, that goes straight into a story we're going to talk about grading in a minute, and the record grading numbers and TCG grading numbers. But before we do, I wanted to talk about this new auction website, which is making some waves, in particular because who's behind it, right? So this auction website is called Snipe. Rick Probstein, who a lot of people know his name, Probstein123, he was the biggest consigner on eBay in the sports card space for many, many, many years. In fact, 21 years on eBay as one of their largest sellers, selling more than 1.5 million items, grossing $930 million, almost $1 billion worth of transactions on eBay over 21 years worth of time. Well, he has packed his bags and headed on out to do his own thing. He launched his own auction website, Snipe, which is effectively competing with eBay and all of the other websites. This went online a week or two ago. The first auction of 20,000 or so items is ending in 10 days. So that's going to be the first time, to really see how this goes. And he's put some interesting twists on it. to give his own spin on what he thinks is creating a superior auction website. So for example, anyone can bid on the lower end items. To bid on the higher end items, you have to be, authenticated, but no buyer's premium. So you can do high end items, but without the buyer's premium. So that's kind of cool. Combined shipping for items, any items you win from his site up to a 30-day period, you can request your shipping combined. That's interesting. We're not seeing that from any other auction website where you could buy some stuff this week and then 2 weeks from now and have it all combined to save on shipping. He's got a partnership with CGC, which he just announced, where if you buy raw cards on his website, they will, after you win them, they'll go to CGC for authentication and grading before they ship back to you. And other new things. He's got some interesting things with how you can do the bidding on a site and set max bids and some uniqueness to the technology. Are we excited that we've got this auction website with all these listings on it now? Clearly is going to have a lot of business running through it because he's got that huge, consignment business that he's now funneling into all of this. Or does this add the labor teapot of now there's another auction website you got to go to and check and search for things on? Where do you stand with what Rick is doing here with Snipe?
That's the one downside, right? Is like before you could search for all of his items on eBay with everything else that was out there. And a lot of times you could get combined shipping if you landed items within a certain amount and they would go in your cart. But I think the upside here is iron sharpens iron, and he is doing some really unique things with the website. Simon466 Cards did a very thorough breakdown of everything and kind of laid out some of his pros and cons. So I would encourage people to watch that video too. Some of the things Simon liked, you get a clear onboarding handbook when you sign up. You get emailed a handbook that's basically like a tutorial of the whole website. And here's what we're doing, here's what makes us different, but it explains some of the dynamics that they're doing. So that's good. You talked about the bidding types, so you can do a min bid increment to go up 1. You can set your max bid, or you can snipe within the app itself that will put in your final bid at the last second and probably drive it into extended bidding like how other sites work. The piece that stood out to me the most, there's 2 things. One is bid transparency. Most, if not all of us know, and those watching this show, Rick, as well as just about every other consignment company that's on eBay, get accused of tolerating or supporting shill bidding. Dovetails back to our original topic. And I know Rick has made a lot of statements over the years saying, look, I see where you're coming from, but I've done everything I can within the software, within the site to prevent this. I don't have any tolerance for this, yada, yada. On his site now, on Snipe, you see who is bidding on the items. I don't know about that on any other sites that I'm aware of.
No.
So I could see your user account, which is almost a little uncomfortable as a buyer. I mean, it really is. Maybe I want anonymity. I don't want somebody to know that I just won and have this card now. That could make you a target of theft or what, I don't know. But it's there. Yeah. So what that means is, especially on high-end items where you need to be an authenticated, verified buyer with a bank account attached or whatever, no shill bidding. Yeah. You cannot go and bid on your own item. He'll know. And you cannot go bid on items, go unpaid, whatever. This leads me to believe there's probably some real strict strike rules too for unpaids. I think he's trying to break free of that stigma. The other thing that's really interesting to me is there's a live chat and comments board on items. So you can go in and be like, I'm an Andre Drummond super collector, everybody back off, or whatever you want to say. I'm megabid input. You could just sort of play mind games or whatever. That's a different dynamic that we haven't seen on other sites. So I like those things. What I heard is that the search experience is pretty quirky. They're kind of boasting a new revolutionary way of more like Google searching. But if you're somebody who knows how to search for what you want on eBay and you like to use Boolean operators with minus, parentheses, those things, you can't do that. And what Simon said, he typed in gold prism and it was showing every Golden State Warriors prism card. So there's no way to narrow it down. Now, they'll probably fix that. Yeah. Maybe they give you an option to do legacy search method versus proprietary search method, whatever. But there was a little bit of confusion around some of those things, but overall he thought it was useful. The CGC piece, an important note, I didn't see this on their Instagram post, but he said it's in the handbook or on their terms. If you are a super bidder, you go through the authentication, you then get the right to whatever, not deny, but like not have the authentication go to CGC and just get the raw card sent to you.
Okay.
So like you get the option, and that was something we talked about when eBay authentication rolled out years ago, was like, can I just say no and get the card 2 weeks earlier, and not do this? So another interesting note.
Okay. So some interesting innovation there. What do you think of this, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the website's still definitely on beta mode, like you said. The search feature is not, optimal right now, but I have the buying team here, and I have the Graded Grails buying team looking at this website. I'm excited to see what happens in the next 10 days with these auctions.
I didn't know about to get some deals.
I'm hoping to get some
You're
deals.
hoping. You see, we should have waited to do this segment for another couple of weeks so that people weren't as aware.
Yeah.
We could have got it. We could have picked off all the early deals, Ryan. Darn it. We messed up.
There's 22,000 auctions right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's
auctions.
a lot of auctions. There's a lot of Pokemon sealed.
Yeah.
We always need that. So I'm excited to see where all that goes. I didn't know about this chat feature. I'm looking at some of these comments, and I think that's kind of fun.
It's interesting.
It's a cool feature.
Yeah.
Seeing the bid history of the people. I wonder if you can follow. Like, I wonder if we can follow, Patrick and Dr. Beckett.
Oh boy.
See what their bid history is.
See what they're up to. Okay. All right. Fair enough. It's certainly cool innovation. Website is Snipe, SNYPE. Did I spell that right? I did spell that right. SNYPE. All right, so there you go. There's Snipe. Okay, one last topic to talk about today, guys. Wow, we got some record card grading numbers. We're talking about the Pokemon being all sold out at all the Walmarts. Well, guess where all those cards are going? They're apparently all going to PSA because we got record numbers, and not just PSA. We got record numbers we got Tag is up a lot, CGC's up a lot year over year. Beckett's actually up a lot. Welcome back to the game, Beckett. Well, SGC is fallen hard. SGC is the one that's now kind of gone in the opposite direction. But overall, for the month of October, 2.7 million cards graded. That is an all-time record of the 2.7 million. PSA led with 1.97 million. Of that 1.97 million, 1.27 million was TCG and non-sports, and 700,000 was sports cards. My, how times have changed. Teapot, your reaction to the grading numbers for October from GemRate?
I think some of these people might want to go watch my video on the Market Movers channel about how to evaluate which cards to get graded or not. There's a lot of cards going, and I have a feeling a lot of them are coming back and losing people money, frankly. This is just huge volume. But what we do know is there's a ton of money going into the hobby. There's a ton of print run. I said 6 months ago that I was done feeling surprised about grading numbers. I'm gonna have to redo that video that I did showing how all the graded cards stack up to the to the International Space Station, because this is looking like it's going to be to the moon by the end of 2026 if this rate continues. So there's a lot happening. Obviously, the downfall and demise of SGC after that branded boutique word was stamped on them is really
strong.
It's disappointing. Interesting to see Beckett making a little bit of a comeback. I do think that a lot of that has to do with Pokemon and people chasing pristines and black labels because a lot of those cards grade well, as well as Topps Now. Every time we see Topps Now sell 100,000 copies of a card, those cards grade incredibly well. We know that. So I think people are going to Beckett, paying a lower grading cost, and then potentially going for that pristine or 10
label
without an upcharge and trying to chase those things.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
I think you see the huge increase in PSA, and I wonder if you have to attribute that to their instant offers. People wanting to cash out their cards right away, get cash.
True.
It's easier than ever. I mean, they offer you a card right after it's graded. I just took my first one yesterday. It was easy process. Already paid today. So I wonder if their business decisions lead to them grading almost 2 million cards. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And then you always see a spike with Beckett or on the Dallas Card Show. So we'll probably see another spike next month with that happening today.
That's right. Dallas Card Show today. In fact, guys, we got to wrap this up because I got to go to the Dallas Card Show. You got to go to the Dallas Card Show, Ryan. We will both be at the Dallas Card Show. I will only be there tonight, the Thursday night when you guys are watching this. I'll be there. But yeah, I think you're there. Well, actually, you're there tomorrow too, and then you go on to Collecticon this weekend.
Yep.
But we'll have our Cards
weekend.
HQ team there all weekend long. So there you go, Dallas Card Show. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hey, don't forget to get one of those Arena Club slab packs, promo code SEI for 20% off. Just download the Arena Club app and enter that SEI promo code. And hey, we'll see you soon with our next episode. Take care.